Skull and Bones, a game many thought would never come out, released on February 16th. The reviews are in. It's not very good. This is certainly not a quadruple A game, and I personally feel cheated. Anyway, all the reviews seem to state similar gripes. The story is not good, the naval warfare is fun but not deep, and overall the gameplay is extremely lacking. For example, you cannot port your ship on an island and simply jump off. There are specific docks and zones to go to in order to switch to going on foot. There is no hand-to-hand combat or boarding other ships in this game, and you guessed it, there is no swimming either. Basically, you're constrained to shooting at ships. In totality, it pales in comparison to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which came out over a decade ago. The average review pretty much gives it a 6 or 7 out of 10. What many thought could have been a competitor to Sea of Thieves really is not. Basically, it's not a pirate's life for us. To be frank, the outlook on this game is not good given the costs it took to make it. So, what went wrong with this game? Skull and Bones has had a unique development history to say the least. Starting development in 2013, Skull and Bones was originally going to be a game that rode the coattails of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. The idea seemed good enough, take Black Flag's naval combat and make a game out of it. People love that in Black Flag, so take it, expand it, and it would pretty much be a great success. As it turns out, nothing is ever that simple. A game that probably should have come out in 2017 did not get an update until, well, 2017. At E3 that year, Skull and Bones was official, showing off 5v5 gameplay. At the end of this presentation, it was formally announced that Skull and Bones would release in the fall of 2018. Now that is hilarious. Of course, 1 week before E3 2018, Ubisoft said the game was pushed back until at least 2019. Additionally, the game was still shown at E3 2018, where it looked pretty different from the previous year. Then things got quiet and internally turbulent for Ubisoft Singapore, the studio making this game. In May 2019, the game was delayed until at least after March of 2020. A few months later, it was delayed again, which is the third delay if you're keeping count. In 2020, Ubisoft stated the studio found a new vision. Now, if you're wondering why they said this, you guessed it, they announced another delay. Then in July 2021, Kotaku reported that the studio and game were in complete pandemonium. Since 2013, everything's pretty much been chaotic. There were different creative directors rotating in and out, various game concepts replacing previous ones, etc. But as time went on, other issues contributed to delays. It was reported that the new PS5 and Xbox Series X systems caused further delays. This was because the team had to migrate and update the game in progress to work on the new systems. Further, Ubisoft Singapore was among many studios accused of workplace toxicity and managerial issues. But the problems don't end there. The game was eventually slated for a November 2022 launch before being delayed 2 more times.
This guy stinks!
Finally, the studio then settled on a release date of February 16th, 2024. In totality, the game went through 6 public delays, likely multiple internal reboots, 11 years of development, and a reported cost of over $120 million. Against all odds, it's still released on February 16, 2024, and is a functioning game. But given all the money it took to make this game and how the reception is right now to it, the outlook is not great for this game's survival and profitability. Throw in the fact that the game kind of needs a large player base in order for players to do fun events together, bad news could be on the horizon if people stop playing this game. A key question you may have is, why did Ubisoft not just cancel this game? Delay after delay and Ubisoft Singapore constantly switching game concepts would usually lead to a game getting cancelled, at least by 2020, if not earlier. Aside from this, internally Ubisoft must have known how mediocre this game is and what it would likely score critically. So why did Ubisoft not just simply cancel this game? Oddly enough, we find the potential answer in that same Kotaku article from earlier. It stated that Ubisoft Singapore made a deal with the local government in Singapore to launch an original game in the next few years. In other words, if Ubisoft cancelled the game, there is a good chance they would have faced legal repercussions as well as sustained all the losses it spent on Skull and Bones' development. By releasing the game, Ubisoft would have recouped at least a portion of what it has spent, as well as avoid any legal problems with the deal that was made with the local government. While not 100% confirmed as the reason, Ubisoft declined to comment on this, so yeah, it's probably the reason the game never got cancelled. So at this point, what is the future of Skull and Bones? Well, it's not all completely hopeless for the game. At launch, Sea of Thieves was not very impressive either, but it eventually turned into a great game. Many reviews do say if it costs less, such as $30 to $50, then it could be a good deal and is fun enough to justify that lower cost. We also see games get better and better over time as well, and it could be the case here. If a year from now the gameplay allows you to invade other ships as well as have large-scale naval and land battles happening at the same time, then that would be awesome. Essentially, there is a path forward for this game to be successful, it's just not the easiest or simplest. But with all this being said, I don't know if this studio could pull it off, given its chaotic history. Actually, speaking of this, the credits of this game reveal something interesting. It shows a metric ton of studios helped work on this game, which may mean Ubisoft Singapore never even got their crap together.
You blew it, boy! You really blew it!
There's a good chance all these other studios needed to help finish this mess because Ubisoft Singapore could not. We'll probably never know for sure, but what we do know is that it's a miracle this game came out. Ultimately, the game just launched, so you never know how it's going to turn out, but at the moment, it has a long way to go in order to be successful. To be fair, this could have been a much worse game than it actually is. However, it is still mediocre, and sometimes mediocrity is the worst thing a game can be. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.